Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. Rock climbing is a whole body workout that improves strength, endurance, stamina, balance, flexibility, and coordination. It's also gaining steadily in popularity as a sport and as entertainment. My guest tonight is Dan Hague, co-owner of Rise Up Climbing here in Lynchburg. Dan, welcome to Lynchburg Live.
Nice to be with you.
You know, as we get started, could you just tell our audience who may not know what Rise Up climbing is, what it is?
Sure. Rise Up Climbing is indoor artificial rock climbing. We provide a facility with 40-foot high climbing walls for rock climbers to practice and people to get an experience in rock climbing.
I think that's cool. I didn't know anything about this. Didn't know you were in Lynchburg. And then I found you and I thought this would be a great show to talk about. Where are you located and how long have you been here?
We're at 1225 Church Street, which is next to the Wise parking deck, essentially. And we opened in September of 2008.
And it has to be a tall building, correct?
Well, it wasn't when we started. We did alter the building to raise the roof so we could get 40 foot of clear height inside, yeah.
Now you're co-owner, so that there's another owner.
Yeah, that's right. That's my wife, Leslie,
cool.
who's in the background shot here over my shoulder.
Now, tell me what the actual size is of your establishment.
Sure. The floor is about 10,000 square feet, and then we have 8,000 square feet of climbing surface.
That's big.
It's medium size for as climbing gyms go, but it's for a city the size of Lynchburg, it is big.
Now, this is the only establishment of its kind in the city of Lynchburg or surrounding counties. Is that true?
That's right. The nearest facility that would be anything like this would be Richmond.
I was going to ask you this question later, but how about in the state of Virginia? Do you know how many?
Of gyms that are full service that do what we do, there are probably fewer than a dozen.
So it's really widespread or spread out. If you wanted, if there was nothing here, you would have to go to Richmond. Is that correct? That
would be the closest place, but there are a number of facilities around Washington D.C. and Northern Virginia, and as you might imagine, these things popped up first around metropolitan areas, right. And they've slowly spread to smaller municipalities like Lynchburg, but in general, they tend to be around larger cities.
Now, I really like your motto, "We make fitness fun." So this is actually a gym.
It is. We provide the venue to be able to practice rock climbing, but rock climbing is a whole body workout. And in addition, it's mentally challenging. So unlike going to a health club and running on a treadmill or lifting weights, which are kind of mind-numbing type exercises, you have to think about what you're doing in climbing. You have to figure out the puzzle that is in front of you in how to, make your way to the top of the wall. And many people have told me over the years that rock climbing takes them out of their everyday life. They cannot think about work while they're climbing. And where I started in D.C., that was a very strong attraction for the people who in Washington, everyone works and everyone works long hours, and to be able to remove themselves from that was a tremendous benefit.
So not only is it a physical challenge, it's a mental workout as well.
That's right. But maybe not quite a workout mentally, but it is a mental challenge. You have to think about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's not like a treadmill when you can sit there and read a book.
You can't just turn your mind off and think about other parts of your life. You have to think about the climbing.
You know, since I found out about Rise Up Climbing, I've just noticed that this seems to be gaining in popularity.
Well, it's grown. Rock climbing in general has grown steadily over the last 30 years. Advancements in equipment was the first thing that happened many years ago that allowed climbing to become relatively safe. And then the advent of indoor climbing really propelled this sport forward. So over the last 25 years of indoor climbing, the number of climbers in this country has grown at a relatively steady pace, but consistently over that time period, yes.
Now I'm guessing you already had an athletic background. How did you get involved with this particular?
Well, it's interesting.
thing?
I've been a rock climber almost my entire life. I started when I was 13 with some friends in Central Ohio. Not the biggest climbing state in the country by any means, but I had some friends that were going climbing and went along with them once, and I was hooked.
Are you talking about actual outdoor climbing rocks? Not.
Yes, that many years ago there were no indoor climbing gyms. In fact, there wasn't much in the way of commercially made equipment at the time. We improvised a lot of what we used. And like I said, it wasn't until the very late 80s, early 90s that rock climbing gyms began to pop up across the country. And that allowed people who may not have any exposure to climbing through friends, which is how it spread earlier, to experience rock climbing in a controlled environment.
So what really urged you to do this, to open up a business like this?
Well, at the time I was living in Washington, D.C., and like I said earlier, people there, they work a lot, they have very busy lives. And there was a climbing gym that opened in the early 90s in Baltimore. It was horribly managed, but yet they seemed to do okay. And it's kind of a no-brainer to say if a business will do well in Baltimore that's not managed well, one that is managed well in DC should do much better. And that was the case. I opened the first gym in '94 in Rockville, Maryland, and then built 2 more gyms in DC.
That's wonderful.
Up until 2004 or so when I left.
And then you got relocated to Lynchburg.
I came here to restore a Victorian.
Oh.
And I've been a climber my whole life, so there wasn't really anywhere to practice here. My wife and I built this gym as a business, but in the back of our minds, there's always we want to go climbing too. So.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. Now, you restore homes.
Well, I've restored a few homes over the years. I actually have a loft project going on now in downtown Lynchburg, but I just like to get my hands dirty, apparently.
That was just an aside because I'm interested in things like that too.
That can be another show if you want.
Yeah. Okay, we'll write you down.
Right.
Now, you've also co-authored a book.
Yes.
And you want to tell me about that?
The book is called The Self-Coach Climber, and it's a fairly descriptive title. My co-author, Douglas Hunter, and I, over the years, have collaborated on teaching climbers to improve their performance. And we've discussed at any number of times the poor quality of material that's in the marketplace to help climbers improve. And as a result of that, we decided at one point that we would finally put all of this down on paper. We did it more as a kind of a legacy thing to kind of leave behind what we had learned. But after we had written the book and it was published, it became very popular among climbers. It's widely reviewed as maybe one of the better books on how to learn climbing technique. It was a finalist in the Banff Mountain Book Festival.
Congratulations, that's wonderful.
It was a finalist. It was one of the last books left that didn't quite make it, but it got an honorable mention
but
anyway.
Still, that's wonderful, and I
Yeah.
know you're proud of that. Now, if an individual comes to rise up climbing, tell me what an inexperienced person and an experienced person will find when they go.
Sure. Experienced climbers coming to the gym are looking really for just a couple of things. There are only a few things that we really offer those people, and that is reasonably varied architecture of the walls. That's climbing wall that is at a number of different angles. and second would be the setting of the courses on that climbing wall. That's the placement of the holds to create different paths to the top that are of varying difficulties. And that's kind of an art in setting those routes. And that essentially is what we provide to experienced climbers. To inexperienced climbers, what we provide is the opportunity to very quickly learn how to use our equipment and be able to use the facility on their own. We can do that in as little as 30 or 40 minutes and at their demand. So come in the door, we can do it right away and get you climbing almost immediately.
So you've really kind of got something for everybody.
We try,
and,
yes.
And somebody who is more experienced. I think that's good. Now, do you refer to these as walls or boulders or?
It depends. We refer to different pieces of the climbing wall in different ways. So we have some climbing wall that is called boulders, and we have some climbing wall we refer to as wall. So it just depends on the type of climbing that takes place on that piece of, or that section of climbing wall.
When you were talking about the degree of difficulty, do you change that around so that your people who come on a regular basis don't get bored?
Yeah, for our members, the folks that come regularly, and we have some members that come 4, 5, 6 times a week, that is the thing that we really provide for them. That is the most important thing, is to be able to offer them new challenges each week. So we, every week, we will strip a section of our climbing wall of all its holds and wash them, and then replace those routes or paths up the wall with different routes of probably different difficulties, but they're different challenges. So every week, and the entire gym turns over every 8 to 12 weeks. So if you were there once in October, by December, it's completely different gym.
That's wonderful. I mean, that has to be exciting for the people who come on a regular basis.
It's what keeps them coming back.
A new challenge. All right, you brought some pictures, and for those people who are really not getting the idea of what we're talking about, Phil, if you'll put the pictures up on the screen, we'll get Dan to tell us what they are.
Right, so this is a section of our bouldering wall, bouldering. Bouldering is climbing without a rope close to the ground. In bouldering, if you fall, you land on the floor. And we put the gymnastic pads out. You can see the red pads there that he would land on. But in any event, you can still fall 10 feet or so, and you will definitely hit the floor. This is a very, very popular aspect of climbing because you don't need a harness, you don't need a rope, you don't need a belayer. That would be somebody that handles the equipment for you, handles the rope for you while you climb. So you don't need a partner. You could come in by yourself and engage in bouldering and not talk to a single person if you didn't want to. Again, this is a section of the bouldering wall, and maybe a little better shot of what bouldering is. You can see that there's no rope, no harness. In this particular part, you can, what we call top out. You can climb over the top of this boulder and then walk off to the side. That simulates what bouldering would be like outdoors, which is there's a boulder, you climb to the top of it, and then you walk off the back of it. Again, more bouldering shot here. The woman with her hands up is spotting for the climber to keep her from coming off the pad or landing in an awkward way.
This looks like a shorter wall.
It's the same wall we were just looking at. Right, it's about 10 feet tall. This is the first shot we've had of roped climbing. This climber is attached to what we call a top rope, which runs from her harness. It's attached to her harness, runs to the top of the climbing wall over kind of a pulley system, and then back to the floor where her belayer has control of the rope through a mechanical device. If she falls off, she just dangles on the end of the rope. Now, falling happens in our facility hundreds of times a day.
Sure.
And so the safety systems have become so good that the falling has become a natural part of the game, allows you to try to do things that are at or beyond your limit, knowing that if and when you fail, you're just going to dangle on the end of the rope and then can continue.
All right, roped climbing, is that geared more to height, excessive height, as compared to a lower wall that's not a roped?
Typically, that's correct.
Yeah.
This climber is on our 40-foot wall. So the boulder that we were looking at is 10 feet tall, and that's about as high as we would want anybody to climb without a rope. But 40 feet, yes, I mean,
right.
A 40-foot fall without a rope would be disastrous.
This is all real new to me, but I think it's exciting.
Ah, great. And these are two climbers on top ropes. If you look closely at the top of the wall, you can see the pulleys that the ropes loop over. And again, if they fall off, they're just going to hang there on the end of the rope, and then they can continue to the top if they want. Again, the top roping wall. And you can also see all of the colored holds that are on the wall. It's a little hard to see here, but we mark our routes by using the same color hold. So there will be a line of red holds going up the wall, a line of blue holds, a line of yellow holds, and so forth. And at the base will be a little sign that will tell the climbers how difficult that particular route is. Looking the other way in our gym, we have this archway on our 40-foot wall. You can see in the background there with the light behind it. So there's kind of a chimney back behind there you can climb up into. And the better climbers use this part in the front, which is very overhung, very difficult, even on our largest holds, to ascend.
When someone comes in to the gym, do they have to sign a release?
Yeah, everybody that climbs in our facility signs a waiver.
Right.
And children, anyone under 18, we require their parents to sign that waiver.
Oh, that's precious.
Speaking of kids, this is a birthday party, which we do regularly. Birthday parties are quite memorable experiences. When we first opened the gym, a reporter from the News in Advance came to interview me about the gym, and I asked her if she had been climbing before, and she said she had been as a kid, and she'd been to a rock climbing birthday party. She'd remembered this for 15 years. As it turned out, she grew up in Rockville, Maryland, and had been to my gym in Rockville for that birthday party. But it was interesting to me that she had retained this, probably didn't remember, having been to Chuck E. Cheese or any of those other things, but she did remember having been to a birthday party that was rock climbing.
And you do have birthday events?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
This is outdoors at the New River Gorge in West Virginia. This is a internationally known climbing destination. Quality of the rock and the routes on this cliff are world renowned. And
is that you?
No, that's not me. I took the picture, but and I have been up this piece of rock, but that is not me.
I don't care for heights.
At this point, he's probably 80 feet off the ground. And this is another section of our bouldering area. Bouldering, as you might be able to see here, is a regardless of what I said earlier, is a very social activities. Groups of friends come in and they climb together and they cheer each other on and they provide helpful tips to each other and they work out problems, the mental aspect of it, working them out together. So it becomes even more engaging on a social level.
And a team building opportunity too.
Absolutely, yes. Now this is me. This is also in West Virginia. And this particular climb here is about 80 feet tall, but it overhangs by 50 feet. So at the top of this route, when you when I would lower off, when my belayer would lower me off, I would be lowering off behind the camera.
That doesn't look like something I would be interested in doing. Now, you teach classes. You do have classes that you teach down there. Are you one of the instructors? How many do you have?
I have, well, first of all, everyone who works for me there is an instructor first. Everybody can teach certain classes. And so there are roughly 10 or 12 people that work there, and every one of them is an instructor. The classes that we teach, beginning with the introductory class we call Basic Skills, is designed to take somebody who's never been climbing before and teach them the very basic equipment handling skills they need to use our facility. It takes about 30, 40 minutes. It's
a hands-on thing that you do with these people.
All our classes are hands-on. We don't really do any lecture. The next level of class we call Fast Track. These are the movement skills that are in my book that Douglas Hunter and I learned over years and years of teaching people. And so the classes that we teach are an extension of what I've learned over 40 years of climbing. And those classes are designed to teach people to climb. They're performance based, not safety classes. So the basic skills class is a safety class. The fast track classes are then designed to teach you how to climb. These are skills just like learning a golf swing or a tennis swing or any other sport. There are skills involved.
Who would not be a candidate for this?
Well, it's very difficult.
Besides me.
I think you'd be a great candidate, actually. It's very difficult if you have an extreme fear of heights. If you can't get but a foot off the ground, obviously, then you're going to have a problem with our facility. And I say that knowing, though, that we have worked with a number of people that have had a fear of heights and been able to get them over it, at least inside of our facility. The other category of folks that might have difficulty are those that are severely overweight. This is a body weight exercise, so having a lot of excess weight makes it much more difficult.
We've only got about 5 more minutes, believe it or not. But I wanted to ask you about the competitions. I heard on television that there was a competition, people from 4 states down in December. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
there are two competitive climbing seasons, fall and spring. The fall season is bouldering, and this is a national series. It culminates in a national championship, and that championship produces an international team that gets sent all over the world to climb. There are local competitions that then bump up to a regional championship and then a district championship and then national. We were the regional championship site. So for Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia, and some parts of Tennessee, we were the championship venue for that. And there were about 100 climbers that showed up for that.
I think that's wonderful. And you also have a retail store at your facility. And before we get off the air, I want you to tell us what this is.
Well, I thought your viewers might like to see what a modern climbing shoe looks like. It's downturned so climber can hook the toe. It has rubber over the toe so you can hook the other way. It's Velcro, which makes it easy to put on and off. And over the years, these things have become actually an extension of the foot.
You know, having been a ballet dancer, this interests me, the soul of this. Right, you all have a website?
Yes, this is riseupclimbing.com.
Okay, and you also have a Facebook page?
Same name,
okay. Yes. Tell me, what kind of clothing do people wear? There is special clothing, isn't there?
Well, you can buy special clothing, but really any athletic clothing is good. Pants, a little bit longer shorts, because if you're going to be wearing a harness, otherwise the leg loops on the harness tend to push up the legs of the shorts. But otherwise, many people just climb in a t-shirt and shorts, or t-shirt and see a lot of jeans these days, even though I'm not sure that's
not the best.
Not the best thing to wear. But.
All right, I want to ask you, what is the very best part of your job for you? I mean, you do so many things. You instruct, you're owner, you're writing books about it. What does it mean to you?
Well, the joy in owning a business like this for me is really in seeing climbers improve. I like to see, I love to see somebody who comes in for the first time and struggles with the easiest routes, becomes interested in climbing, and then over time becomes more and more and more proficient, eventually becoming an expert. That to me is the joy in this, is creating more climbers and seeing their joy in the same thing that I've enjoyed for so many years.
And that's probably part of the reason that this is gaining in popularity, that it's almost like a domino effect. You know, you like it, you pass that along to somebody else, and then they pass it along. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, most of our customers come by way of referral from our members.
Is it an expensive sport?
Not really. Access to climbing outside is generally free.
Right.
So the cost to outfit yourself for climbing indoors is typically under $200, and then access to our facility is on the order of what a health club
That's cool.
runs.
And you have memberships, regular memberships.
Yes.
Well, Dan, I certainly do thank you for coming and being my guest and telling Lynchburg about this, the people who didn't know about it. And I do hope that my husband and I can come by and see what you do.
Great. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. I hope you all have enjoyed tonight's show, and we'll visit Rise Up Climbing. My husband and I plan to do it just to see what's going on down there. My next show will feature the Lynchburg Police Department's RAD program. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.